الحمد لله رب المشرك بسم الله لكفروا
محمد رسول الكافرون من المشركين
أعوذ بالله أعوذ بالله أعوذ بالله
بسم الله
سورة إبراهيم بسم الله الرحمن سورة إبراهيم بسم الله الرحمن
أعوذ بالله أعوذ بالله
بسم الله لكفروا بسم الله لكفروا
سورة سورة إبراهيم سورة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
من المشركين
All right, everybody. I hope I am clear. I'm solo today, and as I know, there's not many views. So if I'm not gonna get picked up, if nobody's gonna come in and talk to me, I think I'm gonna make this one short. But to start with, anybody who's listening or in the future, look at this beautiful picture here. Now, don't you guys think that this is a sexy guy? Don't you want to marry this guy? Don't you find him attractive? Look at how cute he is. Now, I want to promote this guy because he's very special. And I will tell you exactly why right now. This is a news story a few days ago.
Like a toy. Huzaifa Al-Aboud and Omar and Mohammed Badreddin subjected a 13-year-old girl to repeated rapes, taking it in turns, leaving her physically and emotionally scarred for life. They groomed the young girl, plied her with alcohol, and took turns raping her, while another individual, Kuwait national Al-Saumi, pictured third from the left, laughed at her. They threatened to kill her or take her out of the country if she spoke out about it. They tried to convert her to Islam. She started reading the Quran, and the court heard that in return they repeatedly raped, assaulted, and abused her. The Badreddin brothers
can
also
watch
pleaded
this
guilty
whole
to-
one. I don't like to promote, but GBN News, yeah. I'm not gonna play the whole thing because copyright issues, but this is the guy. He's beautiful. Look at how innocent he looks. And she just want to snuggle this guy. So I want to promote him. and show everybody what a true Muslim looks like. Alhamdulillah. All right. So I started this one because I wanted to talk about Apostate Alladin and Apostate Prophet, and then talk a little bit about other. Oh, we have 3 viewers. Thank you all. Welcome. Maybe, just maybe, you find this interesting. So I wanted to go through Apostate Alladin and Apostate Prophet and their fight. Gonna go through Apostate Alladin's video that he posted uh, about David Wood and Apostate Prophet. I have watched it and I listened to it. I think there are some things that I do agree uh, with Apostate Alladin on, but there are some that I think is very unnecessary, and I question really why he even did this. All right, so let's start.
Upsetting and potentially disturbing themes. While I do my best to choose my words carefully, viewer discretion is advised.
I mean, really?
I need the West to understand something. Bombs kill people.
Whoa!
Did you know
They
that?
do. Wait, whoa! Did he say bombs kill people?
I had no idea. So what do you guys think about the conflict? And I say what I always say. I say, well, I think Israel should be much harsher. What do I think of the Israeli settlements in the West Bank? I think lots of them are completely justified. Given how I chose to begin this video, I know it's easy to presume that this is a video about Israel and Palestine, but it isn't.
Okay, this is bullshit. He made this video because of this. Right? It is because of this. Because as he goes on, he's going to say that he has remarks about Apostate Prophet and David Wood before this, but he chose to do this and highlight these issues because of Israel Palestine and the war. So no, it is because of that.
The problem I want to talk about today predates October 7th of 2023. This problem is difficult to define or pin down, but I'll give it my best shot. Its symptoms are evident in the conduct of one of the most popular ex-Muslim YouTubers in the English-speaking world, Apostate Prophet, or AP for short. And though he's not the only manifestation of that problem, he's the most prominent figure with the largest reach, and therefore the largest potential to cause harm. So it feels to me more urgent to voice my
Cause
displeasure
harm.
about him.
Really, he has caused
All
harm.
opinions I share in this video
I just, what has he caused harm in? That he supports Israel? That's the harmful thing?
are my own, but they're also commonly echoed among other ex-Muslims. First, I'd like to tell you a bit about my first exposure and my first impressions of AP. I think it's important to understand where I'm coming from. Years ago, when I first found his channel, I had already lost almost all of my faith. It had been years of doubt and self-doubt up until I decided to get to the
I
bottom
mean,
of
one
things and
thing I
determine
gotta
once and
say is that after all this time, I don't think this guy lives in a Sharia country. I think he lives in the West. I don't know exactly where, but I've seen some of his content, and I do agree with some things he says. But Apostate Prophet has shown his face. You have not. Apostate Prophet has gone through death threats. He cut ties to his family. He's been very open about things, and he has very much been dealing with all these Dawah assholes online and making sure that they are exposed for their bullshit. I really don't see Apostate Alladin here having the same impact. I mean, yeah, sure, you can say that he tries, but I just don't understand that if you are so two different uh, people and have two different ideas on how to do it, why not just let the guy do his thing? Because it does work, and you do your thing. I don't want to say it doesn't work, but just do your thing. And again, why would you criticize somebody if you're an ex-Muslim? You know how difficult it is, and you yet cannot show your face, and you start to criticize. It just seems off.
and for all what I think about Islam. And like many Muslims and ex-Muslims over the past several years, Apostate Prophet was my first exposure to Islamic criticism on this website. His channel is one of the first search results to pop up on YouTube if you look up controversial topics in Islam. I was surprised to hear anyone criticize Islam, let alone so bluntly. Some of the topics he mentioned were familiar to me, and the information presented matched what I already found. So I quickly dismissed my knee jerk suspicion that he's making it up to taint Islam. But there was something about his delivery that
What?
made me uneasy. He had a tone of righteous indignation and a consistently sarcastic
Oh, you
demeanor.
don't?
When I thought of AP, I imagined him with a condescending and mocking
It's funny.
smirk on his face.
You
Like
made
many
this.
ex Muslims, I had felt a
Wait, wait,
shock
wait.
from
He made this video, and he's talking about. What was the word he used? Righteous.
presented matched what I already found. So I quickly dismissed my knee jerk suspicion that he's making it
Uh
up
huh.
to taint Islam. But there was something about his
Islam.
delivery that made me uneasy. He had a tone of righteous indignation and a
Yeah, righteous
consistently
indignation. What the hell are you doing right now, Apostate Alladin? Isn't this righteous indignation? Indignation? Hmm.
sarcastic demeanor. When I thought of AP, I imagined
Yeah,
him
I
with
don't
a
understand why
condescending and
sarcasm.
mocking
Okay, I don't understand why sarcasm would be bad. Like sarcasm is good. Yeah, I know Apostate Aladdin has this idea that you need to be respectful to the Muslims to make them understand. I'm with AP on this one, and sarcasm works. Respect and try to come together to an understanding usually doesn't. I'm sorry, but that's what I get from speaking to a lot of Muslims. Maybe as an ex-Muslim, you have a other take, but I don't think you should criticize AP for having sarcasm.
smirk on his face.
Oh,
Like many
smirk.
ex Muslims, I had felt a shock from realizing the extent of Islam's darker side, and I didn't want to transfer
Hmm.
that emotion onto him. Don't shoot the messenger. But even as the
Isn't that
initial
what you're
shock
doing?
wore off, I felt more frustrated and bitter with every video that I watched. My internal monologue went from, how could I have believed this, to, how could they believe this? How could they be so stupid and intellectually dishonest? I didn't perceive anything he said at the time to be explicitly hateful of Muslims, but he did exude a sense of superiority and disgust. He mentioned that
Okay, it's not a sense of superiority, and to question and to be disgusted and to wonder why are people seeing the way I'm seeing is very natural. And to, I mean, if Apostate Allen here says he's an ex-Muslim, he should understand that. You want people to see it as you see and get through the fog, don't you? Anyway,
he used to be very religious, yet he didn't speak like someone who understood what that was like. He spoke like someone who transcended that state of blind religiosity and now resented those who couldn't do the same thing he did. He acted like it's so unfathomable that people would believe in silly or harmful or hateful things.
you don't? Like, again, I don't understand. You're an ex-Muslim. You don't? Like, yes, we can have understanding of why Muslims believe and the indoctrination that is very harsh in Islam. We can understand all that. But at a certain age, you come up and you leave Islam and you want people to see it as you want to see, and you think, what am I doing that these people are not doing? Don't you have that emotion in you? Like, why are you trying to portray AP as evil here or somehow superior uh, mentality because he thinks this way? Uh,
Despite having been there himself. At the time, I made
yeah,
playlists
exactly.
of videos about Islam
You've
related
you've been there. He's been there. What is the difference? Like, are you gonna tell me that somehow you think Islam makes sense?
topics, and I often found myself omitting his videos from the playlists I would share with other people. I would have been too embarrassed to share his videos with a Muslim friend, for
Okay,
example.
I just this is a common tactic that Muslims use as well. Like they say, I heard Ali Dawah saying that he was embarrassed to show Apostate Prophet's video because he advocate for incest, right? Like this, even though Apostate Prophet never did. He was asked a question if incest is morally objectionable or not, and he tried to explain why insist is actually morally objectionable. And of course, in good Muslim Dawah fashion, they just trauma him. And you saying that you would be embarrassed to show Apostate Prophet's views, how he describes things? Why? Why would you be embarrassed by that? I don't understand. Why would you be embarrassed showing Apostate Prophet's views on how he views things in Islam?
example, and I thought it was pointless anyway. His tone would have driven me away.
Pointless?
After binge watching
I
a
mean,
bunch of
he just says things, but he never actually gives a reason to why they're pointless. Just say, oh, his tone is bad. So now you're tone policing? Hmm.
his videos, I noticed the emotional toll it took on me and I decided to take a break. And I later found my way back to ex Muslim YouTube through channels like Hassan Radwan and Friendly Ex Muslim and half a dozen other Arabic channels. I still felt cheated and
I
duped by
do
Muslims
like,
in
I
Islam.
don't know the other guy, but I do like the Friendly Ex-Muslim. He's actually good. And he has a whole different approach than Apostate Prophet. It's true. Uh, but I don't see the Friendly Ex-Muslim trying to throw Apostate Prophet under the bus. I mean, it's, we all know, yes, and I think both of them recognize that they are approaching the issues of Islam from very different angles. And I do appreciate Friendly Ex-Muslim too. To be fair here, I do not follow him as much as Apostate Prophet because I do like Apostate Prophet's approach. But it's not that I dislike Friendly Ex-Muslims, the Friendly Ex-Muslim. I think he has a good approach. It's just that maybe I do like the sarcasm a bit more because I do believe that sarcasm do work. Whereas Friendly Ex-Muslim, he's trying to talk about sense and reason to and go into depth of how bad it actually is. And none of them I could say are wrong. I think I appreciate both of them. It's just one caters more to me, and I guess some other people cater more to Friendly Ex-Muslim. Nothing wrong with that.
Am, but that feeling started to subside gradually with time. Because I'm human and humans are social creatures, I
Oh,
found
now you
myself full of
now you're gonna
thoughts and
play that game?
emotions that I needed to discuss with someone. I had already spoken with Muslims in my life about issues I found in Islam way before I even learned about the existence of ex Muslims. I had spoken to many sheikhs and faith counselors and family members and friends, and then I found myself online participating in ex Muslim spaces and eventually starting my own channel. That's when I rediscovered AP's channel, and that's when I paid more attention to the fights the Dawah men, the Muslim proselytizers, were picking with him. They were extremely intellectually dishonest, extremely off putting characters, and so unapologetically hateful. I saw the way they twisted their own scripture and spewed hateful vitriol every chance they got. By comparison, AP was a polite and harmless angel, even though his humor wasn't always my cup of tea.
Okay, so if you actually acknowledge that, why do you now try to throw him under the bus? Like, if you understand that these people are vicious and going after him this hard, why won't you support him?
A bit cringy and clowny at times, I recognize that it takes all kinds, and I appreciated how he bravely fought back against the abrasive Dawah men of YouTube. He also served as a lightning rod that diverted a
At
lot of
least you
negative
appreciate
attention
that,
away
sure.
from other ex Muslim channels. I spoke to him a couple of times over the years, and he mentioned how he liked riling up people and getting a reaction. And I'm not sure if that was his way of accepting his unfortunate position, or if he actually enjoyed being a part of the emotionally charged debate bro climate. People kept comparing me to
Debate
him.
bro
Many
climate.
claimed
Okay, it's not a debate bro climate. It's because it's necessary. It takes a toll to debate idiots, absolute idiots. Right? It takes a toll to talk to people that are so dumb and so dishonest. It's not a debate bro climate. I don't know. Maybe some people enjoy it. Maybe. And I don't know if a plastic prophet enjoy it or not. But again, it takes a toll. It's like this debate bro climate that you describe. It's I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I think Apostate Prophet and David Wood are doing this because they see it as necessary, not because they want to, but because they feel like they are obliged to counter the Dawah. All right.
meaning that I'm a copycat or just another hateful Islamophobe. I was often asked to answer for his alleged misdeeds and public scandals, and I always maintained that we are two different people, and I don't have to answer for anything he says or does. I didn't keep up with his videos much, and I didn't notice any particularly hateful sentiments I felt compelled to publicly rebuke him about. So I kept on doing my thing and finding my purpose in this space. I made videos and live streams critiquing Islam, and I also spoke to believers every week. The more I spoke to them, the more I humanized them, and the less I felt personally offended by their harmful or absurd or hateful beliefs. As much as I tried to ignore AP's channel, I couldn't
Wait,
help but
what?
notice his
What?
increasingly spoke to believers every week. The more I spoke to them, the more I humanized them, and the less I felt personally offended by their harmful or absurd or hateful beliefs.
Mm,
As much as I tried
Okay,
to
so the more you spoke to Muslims, the less you got hurt by their their attacks or their behavior. Um, all right, I can see that from maybe, but again, no, because okay, so I think I understand, but the issue is if somebody, and this is me, if somebody is being a total dickhead, I think they should be put in their place. Now you can understand uh, where they're coming from and why they behave like this, but it's not something that should be rewarded or something that should be brushed off because this is a bad behavior. So to try to wash it off and say this doesn't concern me, I don't really understand this viewpoint.
ignore AP's channel, I couldn't help but notice his increasingly frequent collaborations with David Wood, a Christian preacher who spends more time talking about Islam than Christianity.
And here
AP's
it
channel
comes.
had already received a significant following of non Muslims, which is not in itself a bad thing. It is important for people to hear about the unappealing parts of Islam and life under Islam, which often go underreported by Muslims. The problem was the climate created by his channel's audience. Picture this: you're a Muslim or an ex Muslim, and you tune into a live stream where an atheist and a Christian make cringy, lowbrow jokes about Islam for hours on end, with an audience of Christians and Hindus empathically cheering on. Imagine how disturbing and alienating and hostile that feels. I felt it, and countless other people reported feeling the same thing.
Okay, uh, so what? So what? Like, okay, again, he criticizes David Wood because his method, right? Like, so what if you
Of
get
non
offended?
Muslims, which is not in itself a bad thing. It is important for people to hear about the unappealing parts of Islam and life under Islam, which often go underreported by Muslims. The problem was the climate created by his channel's
The
audience.
climate.
Picture this: you're a Muslim or an ex Muslim, and you tune into a live stream where an atheist and a Christian make cringy, lowbrow jokes about Islam for hours on end.
Lowbrow jokes about Islam. Again, like this guy doesn't have a sense of humor. It doesn't seem like he likes sarcasm or having fun on Islam's behalf. Like, what is the issue? Oh, they joke too much? Really?
With an audience of Christians and Hindus empathically cheering
Oh,
on.
Hindus.
Imagine how disturbing and alienating and hostile that feels. I felt it, and
Oh,
countless
if
other
oh,
people reported.
it's so hostile to talk about how bad Islam is and making fun of Muhammad, the Prophet who sexually assaulted Aisha. Yes, yes, you felt it. How disgusting are they that they make fun of these things? Get a life, bro.
Feeling the same thing. I commonly hear stories about how AP's channel distressed questioning Muslims and ex Muslims. It fits so perfectly into the supposedly false narrative we were indoctrinated with, that anyone who criticizes Islam does it out of hatred, and they're probably rooting for a rival religion as well. It's
Uh, no, no. So this is where he's trying to throw David Wood under the bus and somebody I followed for a long time. Yes, David Wood is a Christian and he promotes Christianity. Now, I'm gonna talk about it later on because he's gonna mention it. I just gonna say I do not agree on that approach, but David Wood is spot on when it comes to Islam, and he exposes Islam very well. He has done it for I guess it's been 20 years now, and he's not hateful to Muslims. He's critiquing Islam, and he puts the Da'i Muslims in their place. Not because not because he's hateful towards them. He's just exposing their fallacies and makes fun of their fallacies. It's not hate. It's not hate, right? Like Alladin here is trying to say that they're hateful bigots. They're not. They're not. Like, it's such a dishonest thing of him here.
One thing to raise awareness for the struggles of ex Muslims and anyone else harmed by the religion. It's another thing to pander to an audience's fear and make them feel personally persecuted, even if they aren't. His channel became a place where you can find and cultivate hate rather than safety or a path to resolution. And whatever integrity and credibility AP had started to seem less and less evident. To sit in the company of a theist and mock another religion's far fetched beliefs is truly a sight to behold. He sits around for hours reading silly super chats, letting David rave about Muslims worshipping a false prophet. Newsflash: as far as we know, all prophets are false prophets.
All
At
right. So this is the point. Yeah, I actually do agree on this one, right? Uh, because I do not see why. Okay, so Apostate Prophet, he says it doesn't bother him. He says that religion doesn't really bother him that much. He just don't like Islam, and he doesn't like the way the Da'i Muslims and the Prophet Muslims are advocating Islam. But he doesn't mind religious people. He's not anti-theist. This is what he says over and over. To me, though, I would, because I've been through this, I would not really be comfortable talking to a Christian or a theist and trying to promote their religion in the in that scope to try to underline another religion. I wouldn't be comfortable. I would though appreciate that any other religion out there or any other people out there come from a perspective from outside and view Islam and say, how the hell is this even a religion? And laugh about it. Because anybody can see how bad it is. And it's true, just because you laugh at Islam doesn't make your own religion true. That I agree with. Right. So I know that David Wood is a Christian, and I like I think it's not even a secret that yeah, David Wood wants Apostate Prophet to become a Christian. I think that's his end goal, but that is up to David Wood and Apostate Prophet to really decide about. I do agree that yeah, their their channels have become much of, oh, I pray for you to become a Christian and all that, and they talk a lot about how they pray for Apostate Prophet. Now, I would, if it were me, I would be annoyed. So yeah, uh, but honestly, that is up to them to decide. They are friends. Uh, I can think about it, whatever. I wouldn't go that way, but I still appreciate David Wood for who he is, and I let Apostate Prophet decide his life, how he wants to view things, right? How what he wants to, if he wants to be religious or not, or how he deals with his atheism.
least that's what an atheist like AP believes. Or laughing about how Muhammad rode a flying horse to heaven, while David and his followers believe Jesus ascended on a cloud. You'd think AP would say something about it, but when he's in David,
Yeah, so that is also true. That again, just because Islam is false doesn't mean that Christianity is true, which I feel sometimes this is the problem with Christianity when I talk to Christians, that they try to promote Christianity and just, talk about Islam and then somehow, Christianity is true. No, of course, Christianity has its own flaws and falls on their own merit. And I do agree that there are a lot of Christians out there. Ultimately, they do view atheism as a problem too, which I am not behind. But again, if Apostate Prophet is fine with it, I can't really do much about it. What? All right, we're gonna tell him, hey, you should be an atheist. Stop being so nice to Christians. You have to be like this. You have to do this, right? Like, no, no, it doesn't work like that. Like, I can have my opinions about it, but yeah, I'm not gonna like tell Apostate Prophet to stop being like this. It's wrong. No, I don't think it's wrong. And another thing that I would agree with Alladin on, he doesn't bring it up, but what I don't like is this whole thing of they try to portray atheism as this, oh, the angry atheist stereotype, and you have to be uh, a certain way as an atheist. And honestly, even though I don't like that stereotype, I think Apostate Ali actually portrays that stereotype, ironically, because he wants to be anti-theist, anti all religions. And if you're anti all religions, then you kind of missed the plot on becoming an ex-Muslim or going against Islam in the first place, because all religions have different problems and different ideas, and they work differently, right? They are not all the same. You can say that ultimately they make no sense, which I would agree to, but it's not like they impact society and the people in it in the same way. Yeah, ex-Muslims sometimes crave a sense of community and friendship, and I feel that from AP. Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think he found that community and friendship in his live feeds and David Wood's community. They kind of embraced him as this nice atheist who, you know how I view it. I view Apostate Prophet as a as a tease, as a Jesus tease. He teases that maybe in the future, he's gonna embrace it, and I feel like ultimately he's never gonna do it, but he doesn't wanna break the illusion. He doesn't want to be mean and be like, no, I'm not gonna join you, right? So he's trying to play both sides a bit. I think that is a valid criticism though, but again, I don't really feel like he should be thrown under the bus because of it. Because what he does ultimately and his work, what he does is actually very much um, a good thing, and he has an impact on how for people to view how bad Islam is, to actually see how bad it is.
David Wood's company, he seems to shrink in presence and echo most of what David says or does. One time he got a lot of backlash for eating a page of the Quran, but guess who did it first? David Wood. Let's imagine for a second that an atheist who's vocally critical of religion, like Matt Dillahunty, for example, had an allyship with Muhammad Hijab, a Muslim preacher.
Okay, so this is
Imagine
this
when
is
he live
such
streamed.
bullshit, right? So he's comparing AP and David Wood working together with Matt Dillahunty and Muhammad Hijab. So wait, okay, so I guess Matt Dillahunty would be AP and Muhammad Hijab would be David Wood. 100% yes. I'm just gonna read, and I find, actually, yeah, I can actually show this, right? Yes, and I find it's cute. His bonding with Devi. We should prioritize defeat Islam, and when it's done, we can address the religions when they are not an absolute threat. Yeah, I agree. Exactly. I agree. That's a very good point. So, anyway, this is such a stupid comparison. So, David Wood is Muhammad Hijab, right? So, Muhammad Hijab is dishonest like hell. He threatens people. He he lies about Israel Palestine. Actually have no like he's a known Jew hater. He instigated violence against Jews on the streets. He instigated violence against Hindus on the streets in the UK. And I mean he's just a all over piece of shit together with his butt buddy Ali Dawah. You cannot say that David Wood is anywhere near in comparison with Muhammad Hijab. He has not done anything like that. Madila Hanti being apostate prophet, uh, what? Like these two are completely different. Like I don't even think they like each other. Madila Hanti is very much anti-theist. He's very much the way the stereotypical atheist that they like to make fun of. He's against all religions, and he's very crude in his language when he speaks. And honestly, I think he's. I mean, yeah, he has good points, but as a person, I actually don't like him, and I disagree with some things that he says. Uh, but yeah, what kind of comparison is this? Seriously, this is a very dishonest comparison.
Screaming together for several hours a week, snickering at the absurdity of the Holy Trinity together, chuckling at how stupid someone has to be to believe that man could be God. Would you think that Matt is a brave and honest fellow who's masterfully exposing the truth about Christianity? Or do you think that he
Well, again, the difference is that Christianity does not go around and killing people. They don't go around and advocate for terrorism, child marriage, uh, special rights, enclaves, etc. You can you can say that Christians have problems and that there are extreme Christianity, but to try to compare it to Islam is very dishonest. As I usually say, in other religions there are extremes, fringe extremes, but in Islam it's the norm. Extreme is the norm. And you can go back in history and talk about Christianity, but we're talking about modern day. Muhammad Jab is a guy who wants Sharia. Ali Dawah is a guy who wants Sharia. They want to radically change the country they're in to promote their bullshit. All right? And they have lots and lots of followers, and they are very, very disgusting people. You're going to compare that to David Wood? Yeah.
he's a hypocrite and a grifter who sold his integrity for a devout audience and a monetary gain?
I'm
Was
sorry,
all
but I'm just gonna say I view Aladdin here as the grifter, dishonest guy, actually, from all the things he has said so far.
all that AP went through really worth it if he now relies on super chats like these to pay the bills?
Ever since AP and Dizzle went to Israel, I have no one to whom to make filthy Mopus jokes about. Cows, goats, Ellen, trajectory, Dua Lipa, Muslim cowgirl, and jizya stained robes. Guess I felt strapped down. It's always the
Feels so
news.
feels so empty without us.
Feels so empty without
What
me.
was the problem with that tweet
In reality,
or
AP's
that
situation
Felt
that super
strapped
chat?
down.
Okay, so ever since AP and Dizzle went to Israel, I not I've not no I've no one to whom to make filthy mopus jokes about cows, goats, uh, Allen. Okay, so they make fun of Islam, and that's a problem. Yeah, because they're not making fun of Christianity at the same time, right? So it's wrong to focus on Islam. To be intellectually honest, you have to, in front of David Wood, when you invite him to your channel, talk shit about Christianity at the same time, right? You need to be a complete dick towards your guests. I mean, this is funny because they have had Muslim guests on as well. And when the Muslim guest goes on, they're not they're not trying to be mean or rude to them. They actually try to talk to them honestly, right? Like, what is this?
It's always the
Feels so
news.
Himself and his family, D of Israel,
Right.
not an approachable teddy bear of a critic, he did not receive a fraction of the hate that AP did. He doesn't have to fear for his life or the safety of his loved one, unlike AP, who has received plenty of threats against himself and his family. Taking all that into consideration, I can understand why AP might find allyship in David Wood when he couldn't easily find it elsewhere. But it doesn't excuse the person he has become.
What? Okay, I have to go through this because I skipped over. Okay, apostate Alladin's rhetoric will be used by Muslim. Exactly. Yes, and it is very much the same rhetoric as they use, right? It's the same rhetoric they use. He's gonna talk about how David Wood is a psychopath too. Yeah. Yeah, and I think this is the issue. Like sometimes people don't understand that when you make comments like this, the ones you criticize, they will take full advantage of it. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna listen again to
In
this.
reality, AP's situation is much more challenging than someone like Matt Dillahunty's. Despite Matt also being a bit abrasive and generally not an approachable teddy bear of a critic, he did not receive a fraction of the hate that AP did. He doesn't have to fear for his life or the safety of his loved one, unlike AP, who has received plenty of threats against himself and his family. Taking all that into consideration, I can understand why AP might find allyship in David Wood when he couldn't easily find it elsewhere, but it doesn't excuse the
Mm.
person he has become.
Okay. Again, like, what has he done that is so awful? Oh, he has become this evil guy. Like, where? How? Everything you have said so far has been nothing but nonsense. Like the two things that you have is he advocates for Israel, and he he has no problem with Christian apologists being on the show. Like these are what you, or yeah, he makes jokes about Islam and being rude about Islam, that because he should not be rude to Islam, and he should be rude towards Christianity too. Like, yeah.
Maybe this was always his personality and it's only coming to light now. Maybe it started with the hate he received from Muslims, or maybe
Oh
David
yeah,
Wood's inability to feel empathy.
very true, Aya. David Wood had difference too. He still have, right? He still have difference. And by the way, when his son died, Muslims were mocking it, and sadly enough, atheists were mocking it too. Like, this is how disgusting people can be. Like, your son dies, and then Muslims and atheists mock it. Like, what excuse do atheists have to mock Wood's dead son? Oh, they didn't like how he spoke about atheism and promoting Christianity? Yeah, yeah. That's I don't. Anyway, let's move on.
He is rubbing off on him. Here's just one example of how they talk about the death of people they don't like, Palestinians.
And I need the West to understand something. Bombs kill people.
Whoa.
Did you know
They
that?
do? Wait, whoa. Did he say bombs kill people?
Yeah, I had no idea. This is insane.
Gosh, this guy should be president of the United States, man.
I know, this is insane. This is like,
It's good Pierce has him on to be sharing this powerful information.
yeah, I don't think anybody.
Wait, just to clarify, he's saying if you drop a bomb on me, it could kill me?
Yeah, it sounds stupid, but that's what he's saying. Yeah. Yeah. So, by the way, I also found out after I saw this, I found out that if you shoot somebody, they die too. Like if you shoot somebody in the head, it kills them, for example, because the bullet goes in there and it drills into your head and it kills you.
No, I think they just fall asleep and then they wake up.
Yeah, you're probably misinformed, like most people. But yeah, this guy is bringing out the real truth here, man.
Wow.
Jesus.
He's dropping truth bombs
Yeah, absolute
all
truth.
over Pierce Morgan.
I don't know if this was a pathetic attempt at humor or if his countless hours around David have acclimated him to his cold blooded psychopathy. But it's
Yeah,
just
exactly. Like, he's a psychopath. David Wood is a psychopath, and it has rubbed off on apostate prophet. Look how evil they are because they're making fun of Cenk Uygur. Listen, everybody is making fun of Cenk Uygur. The only one who doesn't make fun of it is the Hamas apologists. They actually fought. Somehow he made a great point here. Bombs kill people. Like, this is the dumbest reasoning ever. And they made fun of it. And you think it's bad attempt. I think this is the issue with Apostate Alladin. He has no sense of humor. He doesn't understand jokes. He does not understand sarcasm. And this is a sad thing because I think a lot of, like, Islam never left him. Like, I think this is, he still have the indoctrination of Islam in him. Like, yeah. Oh, what a bad joke.
Disturbing to say the least. Can you imagine saying this to the relative of a dead Palestinian or even a dead Israeli?
Yeah. Can you imagine that Palestinians and Muslims going around and saying, uh, we are happy that Hamas killed you on October 7th. We are happy that this happened. And just going around for months now and celebrating that and then cry victim and making jokes and fun of the dead people. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? Oh, poor Palestinians, poor Hamas, poor Gazans. Yeah, poor Gazans who display themselves as being civilians, even though they celebrated and participated in the massacre of October 7th. What what a f- what a piece of shit. Sorry, I gotta say, Aladdin, you just, like, yeah.
In the head, it kills them, for example, because the bullet goes in there and it drills.
One thing is clear. Ever since he started allying with David, AP's vitriol and condescension has reached stratospheric heights. Despite him often saying that he doesn't hate Muslims, he usually follows it up with demonstrating that he pretty much does. You can really start to see it come to light after October 7th, when
And we can
Hamas
really
attacked.
see that you have no problem with Hamas and the Palestinians. And we can see your indoctrination to Islam. We can clearly see that you think that somehow other people have no right to speak about Islam and Hamas and what they did other than the Muslims. It's funny because every time we talk about this conflict, let me move forward here because I'm gonna make this point after he says this.
Unsuspecting Israelis took hostages and murdered over 1,000 people. Ever since, Israel launched multiple attacks on Gaza, murdering tens of
Okay,
thousands and injuring multiple.
how he said it, Gaza, right? I think this guy is Palestinian, but I could be wrong. Don't quote me. This is what I want to say. This is every time you speak to people like this, they're saying yes, what Hamas did on October 7th was wrong, but Israel should do nothing. That's really what it all boils down to. Yes, it was a tragic terror attack, but Israel should do nothing. They should not respond at all. No, no. What they should do is pack up and leave and give the land to the Palestinians. Right? That is their dream scenario of things. This is how this guy views this conflict. Okay, it doesn't make any other sense to me that he would be this upset about David Wood and Apostate Prophet actually taking side with Israel.
More, with a lot of Palestinians now starving to death and unable to access humanitarian aid.
Okay,
Ever since
here's one thing I gotta say, because these people always hide behind the UN reports. So you do, like, people need to realize that the UN reports comes from UNRWA. UNRWA is a Hamas terror show. Right? They've been exposed for that a lot of times. And every time they bring up these UN rights experts, they're usually tied to UNRWA. And of course, speaking of the UN, Hamas has been ordered by the UN to release the hostages. They have not complied. And yeah, I mean, Israel is deliberately starving Palestinians. It's funny because it's a war. It's a war, and even though it's war, we have seen food trucks coming in from Israel trying to give them aid, and what happens? They take any opportunity to portray Jews as evil as soon as they do something. Like Israel can't win in in the eyes of people like Apostate Alladin. Honestly, I don't understand why he calls himself apostate. the way the way he talks and acts is still cultural Muslim. It's just that he doesn't like the God side of it. I mean, he doesn't like Muhammad, but everything else just speaks volumes. Israel cannot win in the eyes of people like Aladdin here because whatever they do it wrong. Every step of the way they take, they do something wrong. They do something to retaliate against Hamas. Wrong. They do not pick up their bags and leave. That's wrong. Right? Oh, we don't like Hamas and we don't like the terror attacks, but we don't think that Israel has the right to even exist and even retaliate, of course.
Humanitarian aid. Ever since October 7th, AP has not stopped unconditionally supporting and praising Israel's every move.
Yeah,
He says the
and
most
this is
egregious.
the exact issue why he made this video. He has such an issue that somebody who's an ex-Muslim and is popular is promoting Israel and not highlighting Palestine, right? This is his issue that he's popular, he promotes Israel, he's unapologetically against Palestine and the whole notion of Palestine and what Hamas is doing, and he thinks that Israel has a right to exist and defend itself. This is why he started this video.
Humanizing things about Palestinians while presenting himself as a fair and nuanced crusader of the truth. In this tweet, he recognizes that Israelis cannot be considered culpable and fair game just because they're Israeli. He understands the concept of an innocent civilian. While in this
So, you fucking lunatics think it's logical and lucid to argue that nobody in Israel is innocent and that there is nothing wrong with massacring 300 people at a music festival. Go fuck yourself, fuck Hamas, fuck Palestine, fuck Gaza. Uh, yeah, well, if that makes somebody evil, then I guess I'm evil because I totally agree with him here. And by the way, he's wrong because it's not 300 people. Well, maybe at a music festival it was 300 people, but it was 1,200 people dead and 250 hostages or 300 hostages. Okay, play stupid game, win stupid prizes. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So again, it boils down to, oh, it was a terrible terror attack, but Israel should do nothing.
tweet, he responds to a picture of a woman's demolished home by saying, "Play stupid games, win stupid prizes." It is clear what he is insinuating, that the Palestinian civilian is more deserving of homelessness and death than the
Hey,
Israeli.
Alladin, can you tell me what is a Gazan civilian? Can you tell me that? Because we have seen footage of that day. We see that one day they take on the Hamas uniform, the next day they pull it off and say they're civilians. And the civilians that were left behind were all celebrating and cheering and just punching dead bodies when they were going through the Gaza Strip and spitting on them, hitting them. They again, everybody's in on the whole uh, hide the hostage game because they hid them in hospitals, in schools, perhaps too. There, there were rockets launchers in schools. Everybody's in on the game. They're indoctrinated since birth to hate Jews. So again, pay for slay. You know what it is? Pay for slay means that if you kill a Jew, you get money. If you get if you die in the terror attack when you try to kill a Jew, your family gets the money. And the more people you kill, the more money you get, the more money your family gets. It's very hard to distinct a civilian and a Hamas terrorist. So if you have some form of revelation where you can actually spot a civilian and a Hamas terrorist member and distinguish them, please tell me, Alladin. Make that distinction. Because so far, again, people like you are hiding behind the fact that civilians get killed, but you have no problem when the civilians celebrate or actively being part of terror attacks.
In this tweet, he says that he never claims there are no innocent Palestinians, while in this one, he thinks that the destruction of Gaza is the consequences of your.
All right, so C. I have never claimed. Mhm. We call this the consequence of your actions. So I think a lot of people don't understand that this is war, and Israel is in war, and they go and kill people who are behind the terror attacks. These people hide in residential areas, and to flush them out because it is again part of a war, they bomb residential areas. If you think that's wrong, then essentially what you're saying is that America should have never done anything to stop the Nazis because they did it too. And by the way, if you think it's wrong, you should also recognize that all the rockets from Hamas and Hezbollah and Yemen is wrong too, because they have the same outcome. The idea is to raise Israel to the ground. It's just that they are not successful and Israel is successful. Israel has the right to do this because of what Hamas did. And Hamas, again, and all the residents are actually celebrating this. I'm gonna say it. All residents in Gaza celebrated this. Maybe there are one or two, a very few of them, that did not, but they're nowhere to be seen or heard. And if they get targeted, I feel bad for them. But they are stuck between a rock and a hard place because Hamas is there to take control. And the best way to make sure that this evil ends is for Israel to do what they're doing and make sure that they capitulate and surrender without any means to rebuild. Ah,
your own actions. Who is this collective you that he claimed he recognizes not a collective? And mind you, a lot of these are tweeted on the same day. The fact that he can code switch so quickly is unsettling. When asked about his
yeah,
thoughts on Israelis,
so saying that Israel bombs buildings and they have the right to do it doesn't mean that somehow you do not think it's a tragic loss for the innocent civilians, if you're gonna call them that, getting hit by bombs, because it's a tragic event of war. Again, the responsibility is not on Israel, though. It is ultimately on Hamas. It's like trying to explain this over and over. It's like talking to people who have kindergarten knowledge of the world. And Alladin here acts exactly deliberately dishonest as a Da'i Muslim, as a Muslim apologist.
settlements in Palestinian land, which continue to expand to this very day, he said this.
What do I think of the Israeli settlements in the West Bank? I think lots of them are completely justified. Some of them might be too aggressive, others not. Consider, for example, the whole Hebron. Like there's a settlement effort toward Hebron and around Hebron. Hebron was a Jewish city for millennia, for thousands of years, for centuries before the 1900s. In 1929, the Arab population in Hebron forced the Jewish population to flee Hebron. They killed lots of people, kicked out the rest, and they had to be removed, evacuated. Some of them came back later, and they were finally completely evacuated in the late 30s. And now there are efforts by the Jewish population to get back there. Do I think that is not justified? I think that's completely justified. And the way
Yeah,
that the other side acts,
Notice his use of language. He thinks Jewish population expanding into Palestinian land is justified, albeit too aggressive at times. And simultaneously, his opinion on Palestinian territories is that they're destitute.
This guy, I'm pretty sure that this guy is a Palestinian. This is why he has such a problem with this. Yeah, I'm sorry, Alladin, if you're a Palestinian, but there's nothing called Palestine. This is a invented term in the 60s for Muslims to try to sabotage Israel as a nation. Ever since, they have one goal and one agenda to eradicate Jews from the land. And the people inside of the West Bank are suffering because of the PO, and people in Gaza are suffering because of Hamas. Israel allows these two nations, so called nations, to exist because they want to be left alone and live in peace. But Gaza and PO don't want to. And that's the issue. They cannot fathom the fact that Jerusalem will be under Israel. So when we talk about settlements, uh, again, I'm sorry, but you have to first tell me that somehow the West Bank is a recognized state. And AP said that, yeah, they are too aggressive sometimes, and he doesn't like that. In fact, there have been cases in Israel that were actually against the settlements and actually put people in prison for racism and stuff like that. But it's not one-sided, and you try to make it one-sided. Ultimately, what it boils down to again is, do you accept Israel's existence? Because at this time, I don't recognize Palestinian existence. You know why? Because it never fucking existed. Just because you're born there and call yourself a Palestinian does not make you a Palestinian. Understand it? It's an invented thing. You're you're either Jordanian or Egyptian, and then somehow you cut yourself off and you want to claim that you're Palestinian because Yasser Arafat wanted a Palestinian state. This is a lie sold to you. You want to be a Palestinian? Then start with accepting peace and truce with Israel and live side by side as neighbors. Then you can be as Palestinian as you want. But if you don't accept Israel, then you cannot be a Palestinian. Because ultimately, they're the big guys, they have the big shot, they are the ones who established the land, and they have a right to be there. They are the one defending themselves over and over and over. You guys are trying to infringe on other people's land, and you won't recognize your neighbor as a nation. He's a Saudi Arabian? Yeah, maybe. But the way he speaks, but yeah, all right. So if he, the way he speaks, though, sure, let's call him Saudi. What not?
Out of their own fault, the same territories that he supports illegal Jewish settlements creeping into.
While on the other side, we have two territories that contributed nothing to the world and live on donations from the world. Territories where you can't even produce anything of cultural or commercial significance because you have to be busy complaining and protesting all the time and suppressing culture and freedoms and punishing your own people.
Even if he strongly believes that Israel truly had no choice but to kill tens of thousands of people, he can still do a better job at empathizing with the victims. He can still criticize Israel and the IDF instead of unapologetically singing their praises every chance he gets. If he recognizes that innocent people are dying every day, according to his own admission, how could he go to Israel and pose with a military vehicle like it's some sort of fucking field trip? The glee that these two have while discussing heavy topics is truly disturbing. The way they
Well, have you discussed it? And have you given justice to it? They went to Israel to show what Israel is like. what Jerusalem is like. Oh, they took a picture in front of a tank. They must be genocidal maniacs. Like, really? That what is that logic even?
Flippantly joke about rape and child molestation, the way they throw these words
Oh,
around
wait,
and
wait, wait, wait. Okay, so this was a detail I noticed.
like it's some sort of fucking field trip. The glee that these two have while discussing heavy topics is truly disturbing. The way they flippantly joke about rape and child molestation, the
Okay,
way
so he doesn't censor the word fuck, but he uh, censors the word child marriage. And what was the other one?
how could he go to Israel and pose with a military vehicle like it's some sort of fucking field trip? The glee that these two have while discussing heavy
Glee.
topics is truly disturbing. The way they flippantly joke about rape and child molestation, the way
Okay, so rape and child molestation is bleeped, but fucking is not. What? Why would you bleep rape and child molestation? Why? Why? Like, are you ashamed of your prophet? Don't you wanna? You don't wanna? You don't wanna upset the Muslims watching your channel and say Muhammad was a pedophile and that Hamas raped? You don't wanna talk about child molestation that Hamas did? You don't wanna talk about that? Is that it? That you don't wanna upset the Muslims and the Hamas supporters?
they throw these words around and laugh in the same
Yeah,
sentence.
like I don't wanna like the vibe he gives me, right? It's just so dishonest. It's really I'm s- I'm starting to doubt that he's even an ex-Muslim. I hate to say this, like because the way he speaks is exactly like a Muslim apologist, exactly like that. And I don't know if he is far left or his political views, but the way he speaks and the way he dislikes AP and what he says about AP, that he doesn't watch his videos, the way he dislikes Christianity and David Wood and strawman their positions and their integrity and their characters is exactly the way Ali Dawah Muhammad Hijab would do it.
The way they desensitize the audience to these words. I don't think they actually care all that much about the victims.
Make it a rule to whenever we
Okay.
mention Hamas
Yeah, you know what? I really don't care that much about the victims too. I care about the victims of 7th October and the hostages. The victims on the other side, yeah, I really don't care that much about them because they, again, had no problem with what Hamas did. They celebrated it, and a lot of them are proud of it. And the only ones I would feel sorry for are the ones are stuck between rock and a hard place. But I don't think there are many of them there. Honestly, I don't think there's too many of those people there. Most of them has been indoctrinated, and the only way you can stop this indoctrination is to eradicate Hamas. And the war takes a toll, but Hamas started this war. So yeah, I don't really care about the victims of the Palestinian as much as I care about the victims of 7th October. Why should you feel so much for those victims in Gaza, but not for the victims of 7th October and the hostages? Why would you take the UN reports for granted? And why would you try to smear Jews as evil every step they take?
to refer to them as uh, terrorist Hamas rants. So that would be interesting to do that.
It's got. You need something that flows a little better.
Okay, fine.
Wait,
You got to put it
what did he
together like
bleep?
child during rape.
The rule to
Again, he
whenever
just
we mention
bleeps
Hamas to
rape.
refer to them as
Why does he keep bleeping it?
terrorist Hamas
This
rants.
is not from
So that would
AP
be
and David Wood here, who bleeps it. It's Alladin who's bleeping it.
interesting to do that.
It's got. You need something that flows a little better.
Okay, fine.
So you got to put it together like child during rape. Say Muhammad, right? You gotta, it's gotta flow. We'll work on it. We'll work on our Hamas thing, and then we'll get everyone saying it.
I would just say ham ass. I don't know. Something
Yeah,
like that.
that's too easy. That's
Yeah.
like gay P. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's too cheap.
And if they do care about the victims, scoring points and making jokes seem to take precedence. I don't think a lot of victims feel relief when they watch two grown men acting like edgy teenagers and using their suffering as a gotcha, as a way to score
Oh, it's
points against the
suffering.
opposition. I'll go even further
You
to
know
accuse.
what? The suffering will stop when Hamas surrender, right? Do you care about the suffering of Ukrainians? It's been about 2 years. Yeah, I think it's been 2 years now. The war is very brutal in Ukraine, much more brutal than in Palestine. It's not even compared to the brutality that Russia is doing. Do you care at all? No, you care about the Hamas pieces of shit and the Palestinians who support Hamas because they are your brothers. It's part of your ummah. And this is the issue. When you don't leave the ummah behind, you cannot call yourself an ex-Muslim. Because as soon as, if you're still part of the ummah, then you really have not left Islam. Yes, thank you, Aya. It's a very good way to cope. It's true. Exactly. And yeah, AP has an anxiety disorder, and he's been ridiculed for it many times. Yes, very good point. All right.
Accuse them of enjoying suffering as long as it's righteously deserved. In this clip, AP says to an Israeli woman how he really feels about the war.
But we're talking to an Israeli there, like regular Israelis, a regular Israeli waitress, and she goes, "So what do you guys think about the conflict?" And I say what I always say. I say, "Well, I think Israel should be much harsher." And do you know what she says? An Israeli person, an average, regular, young Israeli person. What she says to me is, "Well, I don't know. I think that we did a lot of wrong against the Arab population, and I think that of course they have a reason to fight, and we should acknowledge that." And you know, she just goes down that path, and I'm thinking, what in the world is this?
And she also said that she goes every single week to protest against Israeli settlements in the West Bank.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, she says she's at the protests every week, and yeah, so we're just giving her some info on how to follow our discussions.
I tried not to argue too much. I just said, you should check out this video and this video. Like it will inform you on this matter.
So, after raising more than enough money for an all expenses paid trip to Israel to, as he puts it, have a closer look at what has been happening over there, he laughs at an Israeli for being too empathetic, and they proceed.
No, he did not laugh. This is such a bullshit. No, he did not laugh at it. He was he was trying to show how even in great suffering and great distress in the country, even though they would have the most reason to hate Islam and Muslims and Palestine and want it to be eradicated, they still show empathy for their enemies. That was his point. Why are Alladin being so fucking dishonest right here? This is just dishonest. He was not laughing. He was trying to make a point that even though they would have the most reason to hate their enemies, they show empathy, right? That this whole idea that Jews are evil and bloodthirsty is not true. That was his point. You fucking retard.
to educate her on how it's really all about Islam and how Israel can do no wrong. Instead of using that opportunity to learn more about what's happening over there or
What?
ask her the specifics of what she and how Israel is pathetic, and they proceed to educate her on how it's really all about Islam and how Israel can do no wrong. Instead of
No,
using that
no. They talked about it and said that they think it's Islam and that maybe it would be better for Israel to recognize the issue. But they do understand that they don't want to view it that way. But from their point of view, they think that it would be better for the world to recognize Islam as an issue. Something you should not have a problem with if you're an apostate, Mr. Alladin.
opportunity to learn more about what's happening over there or ask her the specifics of what she thinks, he dismisses her and hopes that she learns from him and adopts his view. Who needs empathy and
No,
understanding?
no, again, that was not his idea or point, right? He he's again, he put, like, if you have a discussion, it doesn't necessarily always need to be I'm right, you're wrong. It could be you view it this way, this is how I view it. All right? You can have different opinions. It's allowed. You can agree with either side and talk about if you think they're right or wrong, but you can actually discuss ideas and not having to in- uh, intros with your idea to be correct and they're being wrong. Especially if you're a guest in a country like Israel. If you're a guest in a country like Israel, you want to hear people's opinions and how they view things. Right? Like, do you understand it? I guess not.
and nuance and a local's lived experience when you got these two pompous American heroes to
Oh,
tell you the
pompous.
real truth? That doesn't seem to me like a
Pompous.
fact finding mission or a
You know,
journalistic
honestly, I think this guy is pompous.
investigation, but a propaganda tour, parading around the token ex Muslim and showing him how great Israel is. They went there with their narratives already set,
Token.
and they had no intention
So AP is a token ex-Muslim now? Yeah, no, no. You're a token. You know what you are? You're a token Hamas apologist.
of ever changing them. This is a good reminder that being an expert in one thing does not make you an expert on everything. I'm sure David and
I
Dawah
wonder if this guy takes his own advice, because like this is again like this projection thing where you when you try to say that somebody else is what you are, like you're doing exactly everything that you are portraying them to be.
can cite verses and hadiths all day, but that doesn't make them experts on geopolitics and war. There's no
And not
denying that a
and
lot of
neither does it make you an expert. Like you have shown you've been complete retarded in this.
Muslims are anti Semitic, or even that Islamic scripture itself is anti Semitic. But there's more to it than religion and anti Semitism. He
Hmm.
excuses and justifies Israeli transgression and pretends they have nothing to do with the conflict whatsoever.
Ah,
What I
here it
think of
is.
the
Okay,
And
listen to this
hadiths
again.
all day, but that doesn't make them experts on
Here it is.
geopolitics and war. There's no denying that a lot of Muslims are anti Semitic, or even that Islamic scripture
Mm.
itself is anti Semitic.
Yeah, but you don't seem to have a problem with that, right? Because listen to this.
But there's more to it than religion and anti Semitism. He excuses and justifies Israeli transgression and pretends they have nothing to do with the conflict whatsoever.
The transgression of Israel. The transgression of Israel. How dare they attack Gaza, sorry, Gaza and Hamas when they committed a terror attack upon Israel's soil? How dare you? Where's that clip from Greta Thunberg? How dare I need to upload that? How dare you? How dare you? What a transgression. You see, this is what I'm talking about. This guy is so fucking dishonest. It's just like talking to a Da'i Muslim.
What I think of the Israeli settlements in the West Bank, I think lots of them are completely justified. Some of them might be too aggressive.
And the fact that he wishes Israel would be much harsher,
And I say what I always say. I say, well, I think Israel should be much harsher.
what does that even mean, really?
It means that I think I said it already, but I'm gonna repeat it. That Gaza has control. Sorry, Hamas has control of Gaza, and the PO, right, has control of the West Bank. Both of them are terrorist pieces of shit that want to eradicate Jews. And therefore, he thinks there is no problem making sure that they stop their fucking atrocious behavior and terror attack. And Israel should make sure that they attack both Gaza and take it out and the West Bank to take it out. That's what it means. Not a very unpopular opinion here. I guess it's unpopular because of likes of you and the people who support you, who try to excuse the terror attack over and over and over. Israel should be harsher to their enemies, because waiting for a next attack to happen and trying to smooth things over and over and over is very much not working out. Peace talks have not been uh, has been halted. Peace talks have never been implemented, and peace talks have never worked because of PO or any other organization that represents Palestine, because it's never enough for these people, because their ultimate goal is to eradicate Israel. That's why. That's why he thinks they should be harsher against their enemies. Not very hard to figure that out.
Harsher as in more bombs, more aid restriction, or also political that
Okay,
he
so
insists is
now here comes again. More than 30,000 killed in, in Gaza since Israel. Right. So this, I was talking about this the other day on Clubhouse actually, and this is a bullshit article. And yeah, they CNN, they take CNN gets their um, news from, I guess, Haaretz or Al Jazeera. I wouldn't say Haaretz is in cahoots with Hamas, but Al Jazeera very much is, and Haaretz is run by people who very much are against Israel themselves, even though they're Jews, and they run with Hamas numbers without. I mean, again, health ministry. Which health ministry? The UN health ministry that is linked to UNRWA. It's. I feel like I'm repeating myself over and over here. Let's move on.
overinflated? Is it still too small for his liking? How harsh should Israel be so that this man can be satisfied thousands of miles away from the comfort and safety?
I tell you how harsh as needed for the people in power in the West Bank and in Gaza to surrender and stop their genocidal, uh, utopian propaganda and acts of terror. Unconditional, unconditional surrender. That's how harsh they need to be.
Of his own home. Mind you, this is just some of the stuff that was pointed out to me by AP's own subscribers or previous subscribers at this point. I'm sure that
Oh,
if I went through
previous
his content with a
subscribers.
fine tooth comb, I'll find a lot more alarming rhetoric. Here's one last
I
tweet that I think
wonder. I wonder which people this guy is actually talking to. Like, who are these people he's talking to that are so against Apostate Prophet? Are all of these Hamas supporters? Oh, okay. So we're gonna go to this idiot who burned himself alive. All right.
think is worth mentioning. It's about a man called Aaron Bushnell who set himself on fire in protest of Israel's actions. I'm not going to get into who he is or why he did what he did. For the purposes of this video, it's frankly irrelevant. I just want to highlight how AP said that this man hated whiteness and hated tradition.
Okay. He justified the Nova Music Festival, hated whiteness, hated tradition, and supported anarchy. About hated whiteness, I know that AP and David were talking about you. This specific point that you were talking about, they were actually talking about it the other day on their channel. So I'm not gonna go into that because they explained it uh, in detail. I from the like right from my mind right now, I don't really know what he means by this, and I don't really understand why he said that. But whatever. He did. I mean, he did justify the Nova Music Festival massacre, and he did supported anarchy. Uh, yeah, I guess it was because the hate of whiteness was because he hates this whole notion. The identity politics, and it's wrong to be white. You have inherited white guilt and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I think that's what he was saying. But yeah, sure. Why? Yeah, I don't feel any sympathy for Mr. Aaron Bushnell here. I think he was an idiot. Actually feel sympathy for the guards around him who had to witness this shit. What was he even trying to prove? Like, this is self-inflicted, uh, self-harming terrorism, trying to provoke, basically becoming a martyr for Palestine. Yeah, you support. You think this guy is a hero? You think that he should be highlighted somehow?
Apostate Prophet is a man of Turkish origin. How is whiteness and tradition relevant to him or the point he's trying to make? Who is
What?
he really addressing here? Can you think of a demographic that clutches their pearls at the narrative that whiteness and tradition are
Oh, now
under
he's gonna
attack?
go with the white
Can you
power.
hypothesize who he could possibly be dog whistling here?
Oh, he's
I'll give
dog
you a hint.
whistling.
They tend to donate generously in church and to other causes they perceive to be
Ooh,
holy,
it's the
like, for example,
Christians.
Christianity's fight against the evils of Islam. The people that
Oh,
David Wood and Apostate Prophet
yes,
fear
because
most.
they are evil now, because they abide Christianity. You see, this is why I think this guy is a Muslim. Like he sees this as a religious war against him. Right? Christians are white colonizers, and he's a Muslim who is oppressed. You haven't left Islam for shit, Alladin. I honestly don't think this guy left Islam. I hate to say, but the way he speaks right now, either he's a complete lefty lunatic, or he's still a Muslim.
Or two about the dangers of Islam creeping into their lives. Most of
Mm,
them have never truly faced any of it, and they
yeah,
claim
yeah, yeah. So it's wrong to be wary about that. Is that what you're saying? Or most of them have not experienced it. They listen to AP, they listen to David Wood, they understand the issue, and they want to support him. What is wrong with that? What is wrong being wary with Islam creeping in on you? You have experienced it. You should be supportive of it. You don't need to be supportive of Christianity or think that Christianity is the solution, but you should be supportive of those people who wants to make sure that Islam does not take over. And if you think that Christianity will be as bad as Islam, you're an idiot. You're a complete moron. Like, I have to say this. Like, why is this misconception that Christianity and Islam are exactly the same? They are they are worlds apart. Even if I don't like Christianity and I think there are issues with it, the issues within Christianity and even political Christianity with the right wing Christians are very much different from the issues within Islam. Let me give you a hint, Aladdin. You can leave Christianity and not get fucking killed. Understand? You leave Islam, apostasy law apply. You leave Christianity, apostasy law does not apply. Maybe that should bring something into your mind to understand the differences. All right?
they never will. And whatever valid criticism and warning these two have about Islam, it gets buried under their hypocrisy and hate,
The
appealing
only one
mostly to
who's
those not
hypocritical
in the
here,
know.
the only one who's hypocritical here is you.
Instead of using his platform to improve the lives of those who suffer under religion, he uses it to empower an audience of non Muslims to behave as
Okay,
if
so now he makes it a broad spectrum about religion. Those who have suffered under religion. Yeah. So it's not about talking about people suffering under Islam and people trying to get out of Islam, talking to people who have similar ideas about Islam and left Islam, people who still live within Islam who's suffering, and the fact that Da'i Muslims like Muhammad Jab and Ali Dawah are out there and trying to bring people into Islam, and he's trying to tell them what a bad idea it is. That's not good enough. No, no, we have to be against all religion all the time, right? Because otherwise you're a hypocrite. All religions all the time. Otherwise you're a hypocrite. Is that how it works? Is that really how it works? That you have to talk about all religions all the time? You cannot be specific into one religion. You know, there are many channels out there who are focusing only on Christianity. You know, there are ex Christian channels solely focusing on Christianity. There are ex Hindus channels, ex Buddhists, whatever. Mormons, ex-Mormons, even ex-Jews. They talk about what they know. If you want to talk, like, why won't you go and tell the ex-Christian channels that they are wrong because they're not talking about all religions? Why don't you tell them? Why are you talking about Christianity if you're an ex-Christian? Why don't you talk about Islam? You won't do that, won't you? You fucking hypocrite. Apostate is a perfect example of an ex-Muslim who didn't leave the Islam Muslim mindset and that combined it with the leftist woke delusions. Yeah, that is sadly true. That is very true. Very, very true. Thank you, Aya. All right. I don't know if I'm gonna go through all
They're
of it.
part of an
I
imminent
guess
holy war, and as if
because
they know better than those who
it's important to, because here's the thing. I don't think he's the only one who thinks like this. Uh, I do think it's important this is highlighted. I know nobody's listened to me. I have 2 views, but it's interesting. I'm gonna go through all of it. So far, no copyright strike. So yeah.
experience the religion themselves. Meanwhile, it's Christianity that poses the most danger to Americans' rights and freedoms.
What? 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 What?
Criticism and warning these two have about Islam, it gets buried under their hypocrisy and hate, appealing mostly to those not in the know. Instead of using his platform to improve the lives of those who suffer under religion, he uses it to empower an audience of non Muslims to behave as if they're part of an imminent holy war, and as if they know better than those who experience the religion themselves.
But
Meanwhile,
they
it's
don't. Like, they don't do that. No, they don't. They don't fucking do that. No, they don't. And you are not the champion for ex-Muslims. Sorry, Alladin, you're not. And it seems like you really should think twice about why you left Islam in the first place, because the Ummah is right behind you.
Christianity that poses the most danger to Americans' rights and freedom.
Christianity poses the most threat to Americans' lives and freedom. Christianity poses the most threat to American lives and freedom. Is he gonna explain how? I know that Christians are against abortion. That is an issue. I know Christians are against LGBTQ. That is an issue. And what else? What else can I think of? Mm, those are the two things I can think of. Oh yeah, no, there is actually one thing that does bother me with Christians that I have very much in common with Muslims. I wouldn't say all Christians, but a lot of Christians I talk to, they don't like the the whole notion of evolution, and they want to implement creationism in schools. So these are the three things. So let's see here. Muslims are also against LGBTQ and want to throw gay people off the building. Abortion, I guess that one is not in Islam. But again, when it comes to creationism and against evolution, Muslims very much are on the same page. What else is there? Let's see. Israel Palestine. All the Muslims going out and chanting death to Jews, trying to bully their way into uh, just any meeting, any political meeting on a ground level across the country, like even community meetings, and push this bullshit ceasefire now. They try to bully their way in the White House. They stormed the White House. They almost broke down the fence, and nothing was said about it. They they orchestrated 9/11, 9/11, the Boston bombings, and countless other terror attacks. They have been part of mass shootings too. They have honor killings, and they have radical preachers right in America trying to bring down churches and building mosques instead. In fact, they wanted to have a ground zero mosque as a brag. Yeah, they would say it's not a brag, it's respect. We all know it's bullshit. It's a brag. After 9/11, I think David Wood talked about this, and I can also testify because this is when I first started to listen to him. I was so amazed that I experienced the same thing about 9/11. After 9/11, Muslims actually showed pictures of how they're going to take over America. So no, Christianity is not the greatest threat to freedom, even in America. Muslims want to take over America just like the rest of the world. Sorry, not Muslims, but Islam. Because the preaching of Islam in these countries are more radical than the Islamic preachings in the Muslim world. They would be banned in a lot of the Muslim world, right? What they preach, and it's not it's not really far fetched to understand why. Because under so-called Darul Islam, the House of Peace, they don't need this radical preaching, but during House of War, of course, they need it, and they just find loophole after loophole, trying to uh, manifest their radical preaching in the legal system. There's this Islamic Relief Fund that is very prominent in America. The funds, number one, goes only because it's supposed to be humanitarian aid. Number one goes only to Muslims, but number two goes to terror organizations. A lot of their money goes to terror organizations. And you know who gets the most money for the terror organizations? Hamas and other terror organizations around Israel, Palestine. This guy is full of shit.
Not Islam. Does Roe v. Wade
Not
ring a
Islam.
bell? You should see the way his audience reacts to any
Wait,
critique of
what
him,
was that?
not Islam. As if they know the way his audience reacts to the most danger to Americans' rights and freedoms, not Islam.
Yes, Islam.
Does
Okay, so Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade, ending right. Okay, so this is what. Okay, point granted that this one is something specific to America, and it would be something Christians do push forward. Point granted. That is still not in the same spectrum of how bad Islam is. This is a very excluded point when you take in consideration overall everything else that would overthrow your freedom. Hell, even being inside a Muslim home, you would be restricted, especially as a woman. Something I wouldn't really contribute Christianity as a whole into subjugating women and beating them to death and slapping a poop cloth on, because they somehow would attract the male counterpart, and the male being indoctrinated with it's okay to rape women. Yeah, I'm sorry to say it, but like it seems like a lot of Muslims, when it comes from Muslim world, they think that when they see a woman without a burqa, she's up for grabs. She's a whore. We can do whatever we want to her. That's why you have all these fucking gang rapes. Yeah, that is actually a problem. That is something that will restrict freedom.
Roe v. Wade ring a bell? You should see the way his audience reacts to any critique of him or David Wood or any disagreement with their positions. They turn
Yeah, I'm one
hostile
of them, and I'm telling you why. Because you're full of shit.
towards us, accusing us of being secret Muslims or secret cultists or worse, terrorists.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? If you're an ex-Muslim, then maybe you shouldn't act like a Muslim. If you're an ex-Muslim, maybe you shouldn't use the same points as Muhammad Jab and Ali Dawah does when they criticize uh, David Wood and Apostate Prophet. Maybe you should come up with points that are actually your own. Maybe you should come up with points. Sorry, maybe they are your own. maybe you think this is unique to you and you came up with this yourself. Issue here is that it's exactly the same arguments Ahmed Jab, Ali Dawah, and all the other idiots are using. So even if you say that no, this is my own and this is how I feel, you really have a resemblance to the other Muslims. And that's why I get suspicious. Because even if you leave Islam, again, you don't leave the Ummah behind.
Borders. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that one cannot care for ex Muslims if they're a Christian or a Hindu or a Jew. What I'm saying is that the kind
But that is what you're portraying. So you're saying, don't get me wrong, this like you can, but this is exactly what you. So far, you have shown the opposite. It's like you're trying to say, if you're an ex-Muslim, you have to take my side.
of audience fostered in environments like these, they're not our allies. We are pawns to them. As soon as we stop being useful as their poster child victim of Islam, they attack us with the same religious
No, 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 no. It's not being a token. It's not being a poster. See, I heard this from Muslims. This is exactly exactly a point a Muslim would make. No, it's not about being token. It's not being useful. It's about trying to elevate and highlight and take into care and consideration and protect victims of Islamic indoctrination and trying to form some form of group that will stick together in a way of uh, protection, like a kind of you protect each other, right? Like it's not hard to understand. A supportive group, yeah, a support group. That's what it is. You support each other because you understand how bad things were and how bad things are and how hard it is. It's a supportive group, but it's so hard to see that, to give your support to somebody who has been who has been through hell, essentially hell, and trying to give them a voice to speak. What is so wrong with that?
zeal and vitriol that we receive from Muslim extremists. His audience views him as a crusader against Islam and a savior of ex Muslims, while a lot of us view him as a guy who profits off of people's suffering to make
Okay,
cheap.
who are a lot of us? Who are you? A lot of us. A lot of ex-Muslims? I don't get it. So you kind of what you kind of try to do here is saying that anybody who is on apostate prophet side and the would side are not ex-Muslims, and anybody who follows you are the true ex-Muslims. 'Cause that mentality, you know what you just did? You takfired apostate prophet. You takfir apostate prophet for being an ex-Muslim. He's not a true ex-Muslim. I'm an ex-Muslim, right? That's what you did. You takfired him.
cheap jokes and win a popularity contest. It may not have started that way, but unfortunately, that's where he's at now. Whether he
So
likes
you
it or
cannot
not,
have
whether
humor
he intended on it or
again.
not, Apostate Prophet is the de facto representative of a lot of ex Muslims in the English speaking world. That comes with a responsibility that I don't think he recognizes or respects. At first, it was annoying and embarrassing to have him as our unofficial spokesperson.
Okay, so it was embarrassing to you because why? He had crude jokes. His humor was not of your liking. I'm sorry, but you're an embarrassment too. Like from everything you said so far, I think you're an embarrassment, right? You represent everything that everybody would be like. The reason why a lot of people don't trust when ex-Muslims when they say they are ex-Muslims is because of people like you. This mentality of yours is such a weird mentality to have.
But now it's downright dangerous. He
Oh, it's
perpetuates
dangerous.
negative stereotypes about how blindly anti Muslim and hateful apostates are, because evidently he is. He teaches
Okay, so he's against. So he's against Muslims now, right? So he's hateful towards Muslims because he makes fun of Islam. So he's hateful. Yeah, yeah, and you wonder why people think that you're secretly still a Muslim.
hundreds of thousands of people how to dull their empathy and respond to disagreement with asinine slogans and slurs. He turns people away, both questioning Muslims and ex Muslims, because of his tone, his hypocrisy, and his unwelcoming space. I urge AP, even when he disagrees,
Unwelcoming space. He's so unwelcome. Yeah. That's why he reads super chats in length because he wants to he wants to respect people donating money, right? Like that's why he is very like why he's every time somebody views his comments or say something, that's why he's very nice and try to talk to his audience. Oh man.
to treat individuals with dignity and humanity, the same dignity and humanity he wished he were treated with when he was a Muslim or when he first left Islam. I know that
So
making a
now
video
now he's trying to say that AP does not even have humanity towards other people, especially if they're Muslims. This is bullshit. This is utter bullshit. Again, he has no problem talking to other Muslims or debating Muslims, right? He, what are you talking about? No humanity. Oh, he has no humanity because he is critical of Islam and makes fun of Islam.
like this might fracture the so called ex Muslim community, but that's fine by me because we're not one global community. And
So why do you act like you are? And why did you just takfired AP?
is going on in his channel, I want no part of that sort of community. I don't want to be among a crowd of zealots who call me or anyone else an Abdul or a Peter worshiper at the slightest hint of disagreement. The way I see it, his mission and mine are not at all aligned.
I
Perhaps
agree with that. I honestly don't know what your mission is. At this moment, I'm very confused. It seems like your mission is to promote Palestine, right? It seems like your mission is to promote Palestine and somehow try to say that Islam is not as bad as Christianity, and Christianity is worse than Islam. That seemed to be your mission. What is your mission?
they once could have been, but they're not anymore. And I see him causing more harm than help. And I think being
Yeah,
silent
again,
about it
again, you're the only one because you just strawman every position you could and gaslighted and just projected a lot of your feelings towards him. I don't see how he's doing harm. Honestly, think you are doing harm when you takfir AP as not a real ex-Muslim.
this conduct could be misconstrued as an implicit allyship. So I think it's important to voice our disagreements loudly and publicly. And based on the
Yeah,
feedback I've received, a lot of
yeah, of course, because he supports, and this boils down to that he supports Israel or Palestine, and that he has no problem with Christianity. That what it boils down to. Therefore, he's dangerous, right? I'm just gonna say, go fuck yourself.
ex Muslims had the same thoughts, but hadn't yet heard them articulated openly. So it's been a long time coming. I don't think that my way of doing things is the only way or even the best way. I want diversity in our representation.
No, you don't. No, you fucking don't. If you did, then you wouldn't made this video in the first place.
But how it stands right now, whether he intended on it or not, AP has a bit of a monopoly in our voices. His
And
reach and
that kills
visibility
you,
as
don't
an
you? That
apostate or
kills
an
you.
ex Muslim far eclipses the rest of our channels.
Yeah. You know what? I also feel depressed when I see that I have no views on my YouTube channel and not many people follow me. Yeah. If you feel jealous of AP because he have much more subscribers than you, then go ahead. Yeah, I won't blame you. I wish I also had as many subscribers as he did. But you know what you could do? You could try to do better content or try to promote your channel, not trying to talk shit about somebody else because I don't know, like you don't like him because he has more subscribers. Like he overshadows you. You're in his shadow. He's an ex-Muslim and he has so much views. And you're an ex-Muslim and you have whole different approach, but nobody listens to you, and therefore you want to talk shit about him.
Combined. Maybe that's due to all of his hard work over the years, or due
Maybe,
to great timing,
maybe.
or maybe his controversy seeking behavior, or his partnership with
Mm-hmm.
David Wood, or the fact that his divisive rhetoric appeals to a lot of non Muslims who boost his reach. He is
Mm-hmm.
alienating so many of us and wasting his incredible potential in the process. He has caused irreparable
Okay,
harm.
so no, he's not wasting his potential. He's using it at its fullest. You you think that your method works. You think that your method to talk to Muslims somehow works. Then do it. But don't come here and tell me that he's catering only to non-Muslims and somehow he's wrong because this is not how you're gonna take Muslims out of Islam. Like it, you know, you takfired Apostate Prophet for being an ex-Muslim. You takfired saying no, he's not an ex-Muslim. He's now a Christian. He's a secret Christian. The same thing that the Da'i Muslims say.
To the ex Muslim movement in the English speaking world. We are already demonized by many Muslims and will continue to be for a very long time.
Hmm.
But what he does isn't helping fight that. I use the label apostate to take back its ownership because
Oh, now, yeah, you're gonna take back most. Well, okay, so let's see here. Most ex-Muslim tend to be pro-Israel. Hashtag ex-Muslim no. But those that aren't tend to come from liberal culture, high educated, not religious Muslim families. Think Cenk and Hassan. You know what? Cenk says he's a cultural Muslim now, and Hassan Piker. I don't think he's an ex-Muslim at all. I think he's a piece of shit. I don't know. He's still a piece of shit. Uh, You know, I don't know because, as I say, it seems like the ummah is following you, like your cultural heritage is following you very much. Uh, well, no, I don't know for sure. Yeah, Cenk Uygur said that he's a cultural Muslim. Yeah, he did say that. Hassan Piker, I don't know about him, but yeah, Cenk Uygur said that. Yeah.
apostate or murtad are often used against us as insults. Whatever work I do to take back that label, I have to first undo
No,
all the
no, no,
harm that
no, no,
he's
no,
done.
no. From now on, I'm not gonna call you apostate. You don't deserve it. You're Aladdin, right? Hell, you're not even Aladdin. I mean, when I think of Aladdin, I think of that Disney cartoon, Aladdin. That guy was kind of cool. You don't even deserve that name. I'm just gonna call you AA, the Alcoholic Anonymous.
Done to tarnish it. And that's really unfortunate because he started off by helping so many people. So it's sad to see him fall from grace like that.
He never fall from grace. Actually, the one who's falling is you. Still atheist, probably. Maybe, no name, maybe, but I don't know. Okay, so it's kind of odd how both the leftist atheist and Muslims, if you want to call them moderate Muslims, have a lot of times same mentality, especially if they come from a Muslim background. And even if you say that I don't believe in the religion because I don't believe in God, granted, I don't like what Muhammad did, granted. What about the history of Islam versus the history of Christianity? Because I can say very openly that, yeah, the history of Christianity was problematic and very bad. I don't have a problem saying that. Uh, and I would actually oppose people who come and say that Christianity is true because Islam is false. but there are people who can actually go in details about Christianity, whereas I can't. And I chose to focus on Islam because it has had more impact on me in my life than Christianity has in a negative way. And I see a lot of people having the same experience. So I don't really see why so-called ex-Muslims cannot view it the same way, and they have to go full-on leftist and hate the cultural upbringing of the West that is, I would say, somewhat based on Christianity or the remnants of Christianity. I would say that a lot of the bad things of Christianity is forgotten, and the good things of Christianity uh, is what is promoted today. Of course, that doesn't take away that Christianity has bad things in it, or that Christians try to say that, oh, this has nothing to do with Christianity, which I would disagree with. And yeah, ultimately, like, there are things with Christians I don't agree with, but trying to say that Christianity and Islam are equal, or somehow Christianity is just what AA said here, the Alcoholic Anonymous here. But he said that the biggest threat to freedom in America is Christianity. That is some bullshit.
Like I said, this isn't exclusively an AP problem, but he's the most prominent example. The way I see it, the underlying problem is hate. And I'm not validating the
Hate,
false accusation that we're
hate.
inundated with,
Hey, can you stop hating Jews? Why do you hate Jews, man?
that critics of Islam do it because they're hateful. That is not true. I'd point at my own channel, but of course, I'm biased. So if you look at the Arabic side of ex Muslim YouTube, you'll find that pretty much all of the popular voices are not at all hateful.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder how many of them. I don't know these people, but I'm just wondering how many of them are supporting of Palestine and hateful of Jews. Because I remember one girl I talked to a lot. She was ex-Muslim, and turned out she hated Jews with a passion. She disliked Islam. She was spot on Islam, but come to Israel Palestine, she was as much of a Jew hater and bought into the Palestine propaganda like any other Arab. So this indoctrination problem of Islam goes deeper than just the religious aspect, right? And that's why you can say that the cultural difference of America and the West, that is bring on from Christianity, is widely different from the upbringing and the cultural aspect of Islam.
So why is it so different on this side of the pond, so to speak? The world of a vocal ex-Muslim
Because of
activist
what I
is a
just said.
hostile world, regardless of where we are. It's no secret that Muslims generally do not take kindly to apostates, especially ones who are critical of their religion openly.
Yeah, but it seems like they have no problem with you since they want to talk to you over and over.
They demonize us, threaten us, and persecute us if they can. That is a reality that a lot of non
Okay, so either you're a liar because it seems like you cater to Muslims and you talk to them, and ex-Muslims who are on the fringe, uh, and they won't have a problem with you because you're soft, or they threaten you, bully you, and want you dead, just like Apostate Prophet, and you throwing him under the bus, saying he's the problem, while you dismiss the threats from your Muslim friends, because ultimately you think that they are not the issue. The hatred from Apostate Prophet is an issue. Which one is it?
Muslims are afraid to acknowledge, lest they be perceived as bigoted or hateful. This makes us isolated and we struggle to find allyship or community, and sometimes we lose touch with Muslims in our day to day lives out of necessity or comfort. Perhaps that reduces our exposure to Muslims to the worst examples we see online or in our lives. Add that to the anti ex Muslim hostility rubbing off on us, and it's feasible that some of us get stuck in that spiteful state for a very long time. In the Arab world, it's a lot more
No,
difficult.
no, no. So he's trying to say, hi, Logan. He's trying to say that Apostate Prophet is still a Muslim in his mind because he's hateful, just like the Muslims who bully are hateful because it's a upbringing that he couldn't get out of. This is a projection. The way he speaks, he's hateful, and he's trying to uh, give an excuse for Muslims who have this behavior to threaten and kill. He's the one being hateful and trying to strawman Apostate Prophet and throw him on the bus as a evil guy. Yet he's the one who's doing that. He like he's AA is the mentality of the Muslim, not the other way around. Like this is so deceitful. This is so just I don't yeah, it's deceiving. It's so dishonest. Yeah, it's vice versa. Exactly.
Difficult to accuse an ex Muslim of bigotry or racism because they're among their own kind, and they're constantly exposed to Muslims because they live among them. That comes with its own challenges to ex Muslims, but it also grounds us and reminds us that there's more complexity to humans than what they say they believe. When it comes to online content, hate and controversy and divisiveness are always more appealing to the algorithm and to the masses. There's no sensationalism or profit in empathy and nuance. Even if someone doesn't start off as hateful, I can see how their social media feed would turn them that way. So, what
You
can
mean
we do
like
to
you?
change that? How can we reclaim our voices? We can start by speaking up against wrongdoings, even if
Yeah, I'm speaking up against you right now.
that means being critical of people in our own group. We shouldn't idolize anyone, even if they're taking a huge risk by being a vocal activist for our cause. Don't
So who's talking about idolizing? Who's talking about idolizing? You're the one who's trying to diminish AP and what he's achieved. Seems like either you're jealous or hateful, or you just don't like that he's against Palestine and and his friends with Christians, right? You're the one who takfiring AP for being an ex-Muslim. You're saying that he's not a true ex-Muslim; he's still a Muslim in his mindset. Again, AA, go fuck yourself.
take a YouTuber's word as Bible, no matter how much you trust their judgment. Work on sharpening your own critical skills. We should encourage intercommunal and intra-communal discourse so that we're afforded more opportunities to revise our own opinions rather than echoing them among ourselves. We should
Yeah, well, that's what you're doing, right? Because you just said that you appease to a whole other crowd, echoing the same bullshit over and over. Yeah.
take a more active role and participate in discourse ourselves rather than trusting a few representatives to do it for us, like on this channel's Discord server, for example.
So now he's just promoting his bullshit. Nah, I'm not gonna promote your bullshit. I think that's it.
I have so much to say. I wanted to make sure that I got it all out and
Yeah, yeah, you're full of shit. All right, so that's it. This is AA. We should start AA meetings. Yeah. Honestly, listening to him was like listening to a Muslim. And I know he said, no, no, this is exactly what they would say about me. Yeah, no, sorry, but if it quacks like a duck, talks like a duck, walks like a duck, smells like a duck, and I don't know, shits like a duck, it's a duck. AA, yeah, Apostate Alladin, the guy I just reviewed. Yeah, you came late, you missed all of it. So yeah, he was talking shit about Apostate Prophet and David Wood. So wanted to review his bullshit. It took longer than I expected. I thought I was gonna go through other stuff, but honestly, I think like 2 hours. I like to limit myself to 2 hours. Yeah, nobody has Logan, and that's why he's jealous. I have seen some videos of him, but yeah, he just wanted the attention, I guess. I don't know. A lot of the things he said was just bullshit. All right. So I'm gonna end the stream with some music. Since we're talking about AA and the beautiful Ummah, maybe we can pray.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
رسول الله رسول الله رسول
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
All right, guys, that's it for tonight. Take care. Till next time. Have a great week. And I don't want to take it away from Apostate Prophet. I need to come up with a new slogan to end my my live streams. How about oh, I got it. Muhammadan Rasul ibn Sharmuta.